Thanks so much for joining me today. I am really happy to be here with you. So, I wanted to jump on and do a quick little reading for the last quarter moon in Pisces, which is happening on Wednesday, June 18th. The new moon will be the following week on Wednesday, June 25th. And so I thought this would be a nice little reading to kind of carry us through the week, see what things come up, what little topics and lessons we can kind of walk away with, okay, for this coming week. I gotta say, you guys, it's been a rough little time for me ever since Sunday. I don't know. I just have been having a rough go of it. I like slipped and fell on Sunday, and then I've just been struggling. So I really hope that we can get some encouragement from today's reading. I'm with you if you've been going through a hard time as well. So, and if not, good for you, man. Keep it up. So let's see. Let me go ahead and shuffle the cards here. Let me split this up. Oop. That wasn't very good. We'll try that again in a sec. And so I did do a little short reading from the guidebook for this card here. If you're interested in that, you can check out the little short. Okay, that one was nice. Let's do this one again. But yeah, I just thought it'd be nice. I just wanted to do an extended reading. So today I am using the Lightseers deck, which I really enjoy. I work with this one quite a bit, so figured it'd be just nice and familiar for today's reading. All right, so here we go. The King of Wands. Crossing that is the Two of Wands. Above we have the Eight of Swords. Below the Ten of Swords. The Empress behind, and before is the King of Pentacles. Let me shift this over a little bit. And it did bring out my little celestite stone, which is a nice little stone to pair with Pisces. All right, so let's work through the staff. First position here, we have the Ten of Pentacles. Oh, two cards here. The Sun and the Ten of Wands. The Eight of Cups. And finally here, Judgment. Okay, so let's work through this. Judgment kind of feels a little bit more like full moon energy, to be honest, especially given this card. But okay, so this will carry us through the last quarter again and into that new moon, which is happening on the 25th. So at the heart of the matter here, we have the King of Swords, which is the card covering the matter here, the week, and that's crossed by the Two of Wands. So interesting pairing there. Let me move this a little out of the way for now. Yeah, so interesting pairing here. King of Wands, you have that command of action. We have the little lion in the back. So very commanding, very much so in control. The world is your oyster pretty much. And then with the Two of Wands, it's kind of being back almost at that starting point, right? So maybe it's like a bit of tension there with, being in command of the situation, but maybe not feeling that way. So a bit of internal tension there potentially is what I'm seeing. I think it's just, with Pisces, talk less, feel more is the message of today's card with that. So I think it's about just kind of sitting with that and letting things play out possibly. And I think with the Judgment card here and the final outcome, that's really a good lesson I'm pulling from that, where it's like, just sit with the matter. There might be some internal tension here as we move through the final quarter of the moon phase, and possibly the whole thing with the moon phases is this last quarter moon is about kind of the ending of a process, right? It's coming to the end of the moon's cycle and about to be at the beginning again. And so we may feel in control of a situation, but then it's also about preparing for what's new and what's coming. So I think that makes a lot of good sense for that. On the mind, or in the crowning position here, is the Eight of Swords. So interesting. A card of overthinking, getting wrapped up in your thoughts, being stuck in your head a lot, which if you watch the little short for this card, that's something very pertinent to this quarter moon. So just, it's important to not get stuck in our heads, to make sure that we really are in the present moment. I love this thing here. It's about feeling your feelings, but just being aware, because sometimes our feelings are not that they're not truthful, but sometimes they can skew things a little bit. And so if we see here in the card, right, her internal life is all wrapped up and it's chaotic, but in reality here, she's fine. There's nothing crazy going on. So sometimes we just get stuck in our minds and things seem worse than they are. And so it's good to kind of, hang out for a sec, feel the feelings, and just don't act on them yet. Here in the bottom position, karma, subconscious, the deep past, we have the Ten of Swords, which is a great card because the Ten of Swords is linked to the final decan in Gemini, which is exactly what kind of we're going through at this time. So it's about releasing or ending things and watching for that new sunrise, which also fits well with the last quarter moon, which the last quarter moon is about endings and bringing things to their finality. And so I think good card to have there in the deep past in that karmic position here. So just about, being gentle with ourselves, making sure that we're allowed to or able to release the things that we need to, so that we can look forward to the new things that are coming very soon here. In the recent past, we have the Empress, very nurturing, pregnant woman there. So life brimming with possibilities, and then moving into the King of Pentacles here in the near future, which is a great card, right? Who doesn't want to have an abundance of resources and just being in control of your environment there? So I think nice little cards there to have, moving from creativity, from nurturing, to actually having something. So more tangible, because Pentacles is about physical materiality. So not just nurturing something, but maybe possibly starting to see the fruits of what you've been nurturing there. So really encouraging there. All right, and then moving on to the staff cards here in the first position, which is associated with our attitudes towards the matter at hand, is the Ten of Pentacles. Beautiful card to have, a card of inheritance, of family, generational wealth, things that come through the family tree, stuff like that. And so there we see a beautiful just group of people. Family can be blood related, can be chosen family, but they're all celebrating and enjoying. We even see their pet there on the forefront. So just beautiful energy to have, right? This communal sort of card here, with everyone joining hands and just being joyful. So wonderful card there, abundance through the generations. So really lovely there. In the like your house position, so near environment or immediate environment that influences us, two cards came out. So we have the Sun and we have the Ten of Wands. So the Sun is all about shining a light on things, on that vitality, life force, energy that helps things grow. As we see here in the card, the woman is just, brimming with energy, just emanating that. And then here, the Ten of Wands is a lot about setting limits to things, not taking on more than you can handle. And so here she's carrying things. She has some things on her bowl there. I'm not really sure what kind of animal that is, but she's put some on her beast of burden there. And so I think here we can see in our immediate environment, there's a lot of energy, but there's also some sort of limits, right? We're having limits set on what folks might be doing possibly, or what we can handle at this time. It has been quite a chaotic week or so. At least it's felt that way for me, with just the Father's Day, then all the stuff going on in the news, so just a lot of chaos. But I think we see that here, so lots of energy, but also some sort of limits on what we can handle. From there, we move on to the hopes and dreams, also fears section here in the third staff position. Here we have the Eight of Cups. So a lot of limits on emotions. It's been an emotional time. Like I said, lots of stuff going on. And so this is about putting a cap on that. Like, okay, I've maybe felt as much as I can. I can't process much more. So kind of setting a limit on the emotions and then being able to move on. Sorry, my reading here was interrupted. But anyway, so here we have this card, like I was saying, and it's a lot about setting limits, emotional limits. So possibly you've gone through everything that you can handle, or you're at the very tippy tip of that, and it's very similar here to the Eight of Swords too, where it's like we're kind of at the end of a cycle here. The cycle for the swords is kind of a mental cycle, and then the cycle for the cups is more of an emotional. So mental and emotional cycles coming to a close, and then just looking forward to what's new, what's coming up next, new opportunities, new lands, new things on the horizon, which again, very appropriate with the closing moon here, and then the new moon that's going to be coming next week. And then the final card here in the outcome is the Judgment card, beautiful card, which just reminds us that judgment isn't just punitive or bad or, death and destruction. It's also about calling up our true essence, calling up what's really inside, our authentic self, and pulling that up to the surface. So here we have this beautiful image here of this woman who is calling up the truth that's inside of her. And so something might be revealed, right? The truth of our process here. At the end of this moon cycle, we'll see, the truth of the matter. Did we complete our projects? Where are we in that process? So truth being revealed with that, I think, which is great, because as we enter a new moon, then we're able to, reassess and plant those seeds again of like, where are we really? And where do we, what do we need to do to kind of move forward from here? So good little reading here. I think that things to remember is just, again, going back to the signifier card here, talk less, feel more. We're at the end of cycles, right? With a closing moon here, at the end of thought processes, at the end of emotional cycles there. So we're ready to move on, setting some limits around these things. And then preparing ourselves for what's coming next. There's some great energy here with community, bounty of resources, right? It's just important to not get tied up in our heads, to not get caught up in those negative thoughts, ideas, emotions, and to just release those things. Along here with the 10 and 8 of Cups, release those negative thoughts, release those negative energies, so that then you can call up the truth and not be obstructed by mirages or false visions of what actually is. That way we can move into this next moon cycle really having a sense of reality, a more grounded sense of reality, so that we can move forward in a more positive way, I think. All right. And so I think that's it for today. I really appreciate you hanging out with me for this reading. I hope you found some value in it. If you did, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up or put a little comment below. I really would appreciate all of that. And so I hope to see you again soon. Until then, have a great time. Bye.